it's Erik Rutan from Hate Eternal, and you're watching Impact Channel.
Hi everyone, our guest is Erik from Hate Eternal. Hello, nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How is the tour so far with Niall?
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, it's the was today fourth show. So so far so good. I mean, you know, Niall of course is an amazing band, and we've been friends forever. And Vitriol is a really great upcoming band that I'm really excited about. And Mafaji, another great up-and-coming band as well. So it's been really good.
Last time you played here in Budapest on your birthday with Cannibal, of course. How was the show?
Oh, that was a great show. Yeah, had a real fun time. I never had played on the boat before there either. But yeah, it was a great crowd, great show, great time.
You're promoting your latest album, Up on Desolate Sands. Are you happy with your reactions?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, it's I guess so much of how I look at the success of the album is comes from within, really, is how generally I feel about it, first and foremost, because I'm really hard on myself in everything I do. I mean, that's why I've gotten to where I'm at, you know, is that I'm very meticulous and I'm kind of a perfectionist, but Upon Desolate Sands, like, man, I felt so great about it from the beginning to the end, and still do. I mean, just even from a production standpoint to the songwriting. Yeah, I'm very happy with it, and the fan response has been great as well. They've been real happy with it, and songs have gone over real well live. I mean, it's really pleased with it. I'm glad to get out here. I mean, I've only done one tour for this record with, actually Hate Eternal was main support for Cannibal Corpse in America in December last year. And then everything happened with Pat, and I've been filling in for Cannibal since. You know, we've done 3 tours with Cannibal, and now this, and then I go home and I have a week off, and then we do one final Cannibal Corpse 6-week tour in America. And so it's been a busy year, but I'm glad to get out here playing the songs again.
Which is your favorite song to play live?
Man, I really like playing All Hope Destroyed because it's got one of my favorite solos on it, and it's just a fun kind of more old school thrashier kind of tune. And you know, for me, I mean, being the age I am, I grew up during the birth of metal. So like, you know, Black Sabbath and Ozzy and Priest and Maiden, and then of course Metallica and Slayer and you know, Creator and Exodus and Destruction and Sodom and Celtic Frost, and then on to death metal and so forth. So that song just has a lot of what I kind of represent as a musician and as a band. The down-tuned songs like Upon Desolate Sands and Nothing Is a Being, those are fun to play because they're just really sludgy songs, and that's kind of a new element we added in Hate Eternal on this record that we haven't had previously. So those live are really fun to play too. They're all pretty enjoyable and they're all pretty challenging, so I like to be challenged. Everything I've ever done in my whole career has been challenging. You know, Morbid Angel, Ripping Corpse, Hate Eternal, my last project. Learning the Cannibal songs, you know. I had to learn a lot, you know, 20 plus songs in a couple weeks, so yeah, I enjoy the challenge. I'm always up for the challenge.
Since the first Hate Eternal album, your music has evolved a lot. How would you describe your musical evolution with the band?
You know, I just always wanted to expand the dynamics a little bit. You know, like when we started, it was like pure blitzkrieg. You know, like Hungary Throne, King of All Kings. Of course, man, I love those. I mean, it's hard to believe like Hungary Throne is going to be 20 years old in November. So it's amazing to think like 20 years has gone by since our first album. And King of All Kings, you know, was just still like one of my favorite records personally, I guess. And then I'm Honored, we started to kind of expand a little bit, and then it just kept expanding. But really only expanding the dynamics of the band and what I was, the potential for what I could write. And I guess I feel like, you know, especially once I left Morbid Angel and I was just doing Hate Eternal, that I felt like that was my opportunity to kind of really add all the elements of who I am as a writer and a player. Soul-wise, melody-wise, heaviness, you know, dissonance, consonance, you know, speed, melody, heaviness, like just the combo. I don't really think about it. I just kind of go into every record of like, how can we improve upon the previous one? Or, you know, what do I want to add that the last one didn't have? Because to me, it never makes sense to repeat myself. Like I don't want to do, like there's no point in doing Conquer and Throne over again when it's already been done. Or King What Kings. Like I always want to keep those elements, preserve the elements of what the soul of Hate Eternal is, but expand upon that and create different dynamics, but at the same time, never lose what Hate Eternal represents, which, you know, is an extreme death metal band. We're always going to be that. It's never going to change from that. But it keeps me excited and motivated to add in newer elements and expand. And a challenge, it's like a challenge for myself of like trying to, I mean, I'm always up for the challenge. I always want to do better, be better as a player, as a singer, as a songwriter, as a person, as a producer, you know. That's always my goal, is really to just be better as a person in general.
I can actually imagine your music with some symphonics too. Symphonics.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a classical family, so my earliest recollections of life are surrounded by classical music. So I played violin as a kid. My sister played classical piano. My dad played cello. My grandmother played classical piano. So a lot of my upbringing was in the classical world, and it's totally, you can hear that in my playing. I think, you know, the way I phrase and the counterpoint harmonization. But I also grew up with, like, you know, classical and blues and rock, and you know, my mom listened to like Motown and Billy Joel and Elton John and things like that. And so I kind of grew up with a really wide variety of music. And my uncle loved, you know, Alice Cooper and Judith, and, you know, Black Sabbath and AC/DC, and that was really my introduction to like the heavier side of music. So my uncle, you know, he turned me onto that stuff, and then I just kept going, looking for the heavier music. And because because of my age, you know, for me, I was finding the music as it was just coming out. You know, like I remember buying the first Iron Maiden record. You know, I was just, I don't know, 8. And of course, like, you know, it changed my life. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, you know, Ozzy, Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, all those guitar players were really what made me. Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Ozzy, you know, man, those Eddie Van Halen. I mean, those are the guys that made me want to be a guitar player. So
you have your own recording studio called Mama Recording, and you have worked with many different artists. So what is the most challenging for you when you work with other bands in your studio, especially when the beginners enter the studio?
You know, the biggest challenge is probably just opening the line of communication amongst everybody to make sure that we're all on the same page, you know, to accomplish the same goals. You know, I think, and of course, for me as well, is that I personally, the way I record is I really believe in trying to capture the authenticity of the artists and preserve that authenticity of the performance. And that's kind of been lost in metal now, I believe, you know, with Pro Tools and other digital medium of over-editing and quantizing drums and all this stuff. I come from, when I started recording albums, I was tracking everything to tape. And so I come from that world, and I still preserve that a little bit in my approach. So when guys come in, I try to push them as hard as I can until they get to the brink of where I know they're gonna go over the edge. So maybe that's the hardest thing, is figuring everyone's skill level, what they're competent at, what they can accomplish, and then pushing them to the ultimate limit to get their best without pushing them too far and losing their confidence. I think that's a big part of recording, is keeping everybody's morale high and inspired and keeping positive in order for me to be able to like really push them to get their finest. It's always a balance, because I'm like a really direct kind of guy, and so I don't really candy coat things. I'm not good at that, and anyone that was recorded with me knows that. There's not enough time to candy coat, so I'm just gonna go right at you and say, hey, you can do better. Or most guys don't even realize their true potential. I mean, I can say that for myself. I don't know my true potential either, so sometimes it's good to have somebody pushing you to achieve that, and that's really the goal, is to get the best from everybody.
And production-wise, which albums are the most exemplary for you?
Of like my own works?
In general.
Oh, just in general. I mean, like, I'm gonna go back to like older records, like Master of Puppets or something. Like, that's one of my favorite. And Ride the Lightning, that's probably like two of my favorite records ever. I just love those records. Or Rain and Blood, another one that I just love the essence of those older records. I mean, those are ones that I just automatically come to my mind always. I just love the sound of those albums, like still to this day, if I pop on Master of Puppets, it just does it for me. I'm showing my age, obviously. I'm 48, but when I listen to those records, they just still preserve something really special, even all these years later.
And which ones would you like to work with in your studio?
That's a good question. I mean, I've worked with so many bands now. I mean, some bands that I'd love to work with, like Suffocation, Immolation, those are bands I've never worked with, like death metal wise. Dying Fetus, they're another great band. Hatebreed, I mean, just their style of music, I think I could make sound really heavy, I don't look at producing as just genre specific either, like I've done a lot of different music too, Madball and Agnostic Front, Mountain Goats and Soylent Green, and I like to do a variety of stuff, but obviously heavier music is where I excel at. But like when it comes to heavy music, those bands are certainly bands I would like to work with.
Before the European tour, you also played with Cannibal in the United States, supporting Slayer. What do you think about their retirement? How will this affect the metal scene? Especially because many musicians have passed away in the last few years, and many of them retired.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you, it's like I toured with Slayer and Pantera, 18 years ago with Morbid Angel when I was in the band. And then that was the last tour Pantera ever did, and then Donnie passed, and now Vinny. And then touring with Slayer again, something like I dreamed of as a kid to play with Slayer. Slayer, man, without Slayer, I'm not even here. I mean, I don't even play heavier music without Slayer. And Slayer was such a huge influence on me and probably every other death metal musician that exists. But touring with Slayer again for the second time in my career, it's just an amazing tour, and it made me reflect on my whole life and just thinking, wow, this is it, and I got to play with Slayer at Hellfest last month when we were here with Cannibal, of course, and I got to watch Slayer from the stage, obviously I know the crew and everybody, and it just hit me, like, wow, this is the last time I'm ever going to see Slayer. Well, I saw Slayer on Rain and Blood at Lamour's in New York City, I saw him on Season of the Abyss, I've seen him many times, I've toured with him twice now. It just hit me, like, holy shit, this is the last time I'm ever going to probably see Slayer. It was a sad moment, I honestly, but same time, I understood like where they are, and like I know man, Gary Holt is an amazing guitar player. He's doing such a fantastic job. He's like the perfect guy to take Jeff's place. But I know when you have a bandmate pass away, it really is hard. You know, I lost a bandmate, eternal, you know, Jared Anderson, and it was really difficult. And I mean, there's not a day that goes by I don't think about him. It's been 13 years, I think about him every day. It's impossible. There's so many memories I have. So I know for them, I'm sure that plays a part of it. Part of it, they've been doing it for almost 40 years, and so they've toured at every level. They've been across the world many times over. You know, some of them have families and things, and I think everybody has their moment maybe where they're just like, hey, it's time to move on in life, and I guess they've gotten there. And I respect their decision making. You know, like a lot of bands will just ride it out, they'll keep going, yet their music is sounding kind of inspired, but they just keep going, keep the machine going, and for them, they just felt like now's the time. I respect that as an artist, that they would do that, because they could just keep going too. But they just felt in their heart that now is the time. But to think of Slayer, and I think about this in terms with Judas Priest or Iron Maiden, like when they're done, I mean, it's just, you can't help but just feel a little nostalgic, like, wow, I can't believe Slayer's gonna be done. It's hard to fathom, because they've been such a huge part of my life for 35 years. I mean, I've been listening to Slayer since I was like 14. So, yeah, it's sad, but I certainly respect them so much as people and as a band, and you know, I know that they're doing this because they feel like that's what's best for them, so you gotta respect that.
And what are your memories of Jeff and the time back? Talking about Panther and Slayer.
Well, man, I mean, well, Jeff and Carrie, I mean, man, just as a guitar team, they were just so awesome, man. Amazing. Wrote some of the best songs ever. I mean, you know, Slayer, fuck, man, you know, Jesus. I just love Slayer to this day. I could pop on any of the Slayer records, like, especially, you know, for me, like Raining Blood or Hell Awaits, Haunting the Chapel, Show No Mercy, you know, those are the records. Live on Day, like, those records are what I started, when I started listening to that, I was starting to play guitar, and they really inspired me a lot to want to create really dark, extreme, evil sounding music. I mean, they were a great team, and you know, and Dime, I mean, he was just, you know, so talented as a player. God, I mean, I would watch, I mean, I toured with Pantera for 15 weeks, so I did 2 tours. One was 10 weeks with Pantera, and the other was 5 weeks with Pantera and Slayer. And I mean, I would watch him every night. Of course, I watched Slayer every night. And I mean, Dimebag, man, his style was so unique, and he was just an amazing guy. He was like the total non-rock star attitude guy. You know, like I mean, I have so many stories of Dime. I got to play, you know, walk with Pantera, you know, the last show of the tour, of the Slayer tour. And there's video online, you know, it's on YouTube, which is cool, it's on there. And that was because, like, one day he just saw me in the hall, and he's like, hey, you never come on stage and hang out. And I was like, man, you have like 50 people up there every night. They had so many friends. And he said, well, fuck that, you know, you're gonna come up on stage and play a song, you're gonna play Walk, which is the encore. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember shitting my pants about it, kind of like, oh my God, you know, like I'm trying to imagine playing in front of 15,000 people playing the encore. And like a week went by and I never heard anything. So I was like, you know, maybe he forgot, so that's cool, you know, like I don't have to worry about it. And then one day, San Jose Arena, of course I'll never forget where it was, security said, hey, you're wanted in the dressing room. And I just went back, you know, back there wondering, I wonder what the hell I did. And then I went back there, and there he was with his guitar. He's like, tonight's the night, go get your guitar. So I got my Morbid guitar, totally different tuning. And he's like, hurry up, we're on in 10 minutes. So I had to go around the arena to get my guitar, come back. play my Rebel Fly guitar and have one of my 80 million stacks that he had on there and go up. And, you know, he showed me the riffs just real quick, and then the intro started, and he's like, oh, I gotta go, man, you'll be fine, you know? And I remember going up there, and then the first thing I remember is it just sounded amazing. Like it was like a live record on stage, because they had a full monitor crew, and man, it was just such a production. And playing that song, you know, it was just, man, I've played some big stuff, you know, Vakken and Hellfest and lots of big festivals. But when you're playing with another band, like playing with, you know, Pantera, it was like a different kind of anxiety or something, you know. I was like, holy shit. I remember Phil saying after the show, he was like, man, you know, that's probably the slowest thing you ever played in your whole life. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But of course, amazing memory. And Jared Anderson was singing with Morbid Angel at the time. And I have a picture after the show of me and Jared and Dime. And, you know, of course, I relished the memory. And then in the photo, it was a great time. So I have so many memories of Dime, and what a great guy and great guitar player.
Okay, last few questions. Please list your 5 favorite albums of all time.
Oh man. Well, shit, that's tough. 5. It'd be impossible for me not to put Master of Puppets in there because I still listen to it regularly. It's hard because it's almost like Metallica ride-alighting Master of Puppets slash in quotations as 1, right? And then Slayer, Hell Awaits, Rain and Blood as 2, and not even in order. I can't put it in order. I mean, Iron Maiden, shit, man. I can't even pick one record. I can almost only just do bands. It's like Metallica, Judas Priest, you know, Iron Maiden, Ozzy. To me, Dire of a Madman is one of my favorite metal records of all time too. But I love Blizzard of Oz. It's really hard for me to pick 5 of my favorite records, but they would definitely all include Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, you know, Ozzy, Metallica, Slayer. You know, I mean, it's hard for me to pick 5 because there's just so many good ones.
Understandable.
I mean, those are all the bands that really shaped who I am today. I mean, it really, really is.
If you could pick the bands for a Hate Eternal tribute album, who would you like to hear to cover your songs?
You know what? I think Vitriol, the band that's on with us now, would do a great job because I know that they really are passionate about Hate Eternal, and their style is so unique and dissonant, and they would probably do a really good rendition of a Hate Eternal song. But I don't know if I've ever even heard anybody do a Hate Eternal cover. Because Hate Eternal is it's hard to decipher. There's no proper tab out there. Anytime I see tab online, it's always wrong. So, I don't know. It'd probably be difficult. I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? I take that back, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. George from Now, his old band from Greece, actually did a cover of Powers That Be. And we're talking 2003 or 4. I remember clearly because Derek Roddy had played it for me and said, hey, you know, this guy's going to be playing in now. And so that's the only cover I've ever seen of Hate Eternal was Powers That Be with George's old band.
Maybe a classic composer?
Oh, that would be really neat. Something like that, you know. Hans Zimmer does, you know, Hate Eternal. That'd be some wild stuff. Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
What's the meaning of life?
Oh man, I mean, living it to the fullest, you know, because life is short, and man, you know, my life, it started out troubled and challenging, and I used that to fuel my present and future still this day to have a better life and be a better person. And I've learned from much loss in my life and tragic losses on top of that, man, don't take it for granted because it's short, and so to me, the meaning of life is really living it to its fullest potential and never taking things for granted. And I think anybody that knows me, or even just hears me talk, I think people can tell that I'm a genuine person that really cares about everything I do. And I just feel very grateful that I'm still here, one, and two, that I'm able to do what I've been doing for 30 years, fulfill my dreams times 1,000 of what I always hoped I would accomplish. And for me, well, I have an amazing wife and a great family and a great bunch of guys that I work with in my band, in my studio. And I mean, the people that appreciate what I do and the fans of my music and listeners, I mean, it's just amazing people, the loyalty that I have from so many people. Every night, you know, I meet people, I'm just like, wow, you know, you meet new people that are like, yeah, I've been listening to your music for 25 years, or, you know, where I'm meeting guys now my age and they're bringing their sons to the concerts, and I met you during nomination in '96 or something. It just brings it all full circle of how fortunate I am to be able to do this, and man, you can't take that for granted. Don't take people for granted, don't take your life for granted, because it can be cut short at any time. So I think that's the true meaning of life, is really appreciating and valuing the quality of life that you have, and trying to live it to its fullest potential.
Any message to your fans?
Man, thank you very much for all the support, for all the years that I've been doing this, and I always take that to heart. You know, it's really important to me, and I never have any intentions of letting anyone down. You know, I'm always going to keep true to myself and create music and be passionate about what I do. And I know that the fans, they feel that, they know that, and that type of relationship, it's important to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the interview.
Yeah, my pleasure. Tibor, nice to